Hi, I'm Madeline.
And I'm Rickard. We're from the band Elaine. You're watching CMS TV.
Giant with I'm a Believer, kind of a tribute to the passing of Mike Nesmith of the Monkees. And I know, Chris, you wanted me to torture the chat room with some other music, but, fuck those guys.
That's usually my opinion. Fuck those guys.
Well, there was a reason I played that. I am a Giant fan. I don't care what anybody else thinks, but I like that band. I liked their music. I liked Dan Huff. And, he went on to do a lot of producing things. And, who gives a shit what you think? I was really surprised that Jackal actually liked that Macaulay Shanker song. Because, I know it's Michael Shanker can do no wrong, but goddamn, it was a ballad. And, God forbid we play a ballad on the show.
But it's Shanker.
Yeah, but see what I'm saying? It's just like, well, it depends on who's playing it. That's when it's acceptable.
Yeah. If it was what's his name? Whoever's the current guy in UFO, is that Steve Morse? Is that right?
Yeah, the guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was Steve Morse, then he wouldn't want to hear it.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's garbage.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm sure you're well aware that Mike Nesmith of the Monkees passed away yesterday.
Yes.
And I don't know what your thoughts are on the Monkees. I mean, I'm not a fan. I mean, as a kid growing up in the late 60s and early 70s, I was obviously hip to their TV show that ran for 2 seasons. And, I don't think I was old enough to catch it in the initial run, but I did watch it on Saturday mornings on the replay. So, I think anybody in our age group is probably well aware of the Monkees as far as the TV show is concerned.
Anybody but me. I never saw it.
Well, you're a little younger than me, but it was kind of a Saturday TV staple. Probably, as far as the replay was concerned, I think it originally aired like in 66 or 67, 68. I think it only ran 2 seasons.
Okay.
And then it replayed again in like 69 and 70. So it always replayed. And I remember it was kind of the TV lineup of watching during the whole Sid and Marty Krofft, like HR Puffin stuff.
Okay.
During that run, like you'd watch HR Puffin stuff, and then you'd watch the Monkees, and then you'd watch one of those other shows. But that was like Saturday morning TV watching after cartoons.
Was it before or after Land of the Lost?
It was before.
Okay.
Land of the Lost was mid 70s.
What about that Ruth Buzzy Jim Neighbors show?
Well, that was Sid and Marty Krofft too, as well. That was the Mad Hatter or whatever that was.
There's something about space.
Yeah, it was. I think, wasn't Jim Neighbors involved with that too? I don't remember.
Yeah,
but it was Charles Nelson Riley and Ruth Buzzy.
Yeah, I can't remember for the life of me what that was called. I don't know.
Well, it was during they would play the Monkees along with those goofy TV shows.
It was called The Lost Saucer.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you grew up in the late 60s, early 70s, and you watched Saturday morning TV, chances are that you would. Oh yeah, the Banana Splits was another one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And it was all mixed in with that, and they would play that with along with all those other shows, because it was just kind of a goofy hijinks show.
Sure. And
so that's my memory of the Monkees. I mean, I know some of their music, obviously, with I'm a Believer and Last Train to Clarksville. Yeah, stuff like that. And the thing is that they developed one of those niche cult followings.
Right.
So where when they reunited in 1986, I think, with the aid of MTV.
Right.
Yeah, Jim Neighbors. I knew he was involved with that.
Nonsense. Jesus.
Yeah, it was goofy. I mean, it's just goofy shows.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But they came back with a vengeance in 86 when the original 4 members of the Monkees got back together and went on a tour, and MTV was behind it and broadcast some of their live shows, and they put out a record together and all that. I just wasn't into all that. You know who's really into the whole Monkees thing?
Who?
Is that guy from he works at MMS. That kid, musician.
Corey Roddick.
Yeah, him. He's really he's big into the Monkees.
Yeah, he's way in. Like, he has his own band.
Yeah,
like Monkees, the Frodo Frolics or something.
Yeah, so he's way into the Monkees.
Dude, I know a few people that are way into the Monkees.
Yeah,
Stephanie is way into the Monkees.
Really?
Yeah, she's. I don't get it, but. And then you know who else is way in and actually went to the last show they ever did? Mark Strigle.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
All right. Well, see, they just have a weird following, It's just like people gravitated to them, and for whatever reason, they were influential. I mean, this was at the height of Beatles mania. Right. And they kind of had a little bit of a Beatles sound, and the other band at that time that kind of was capturing that whole Beatles sound was Badfinger.
Okay.
But it was the Milli Vanilli of pop music back then, because the Monkees didn't perform a lot of their music, and that's where a lot of the strife came in within the band of the Monkees. Right. Was that Mike Nesmith and Peter Tork were actual musicians.
Okay.
And they wanted to play their own music, and the producers of the TV shows was like, well, you guys are a fake band. You're not like really a band. We just put you guys together from your personalities, because Mickey Dolenz didn't even play drums.
Oh, no. I know nothing about that.
Yeah, Mickey Dolenz didn't even play drums, but he learned to play drums.
Okay.
To suit the show. And then Davy Jones, I mean, he was the singer, but again, you don't have to learn to sing. I mean, yeah, you got to perfect your style and everything, but being a singer as opposed to a drummer or a guitarist or a bassist or whatever, Mickey Dolenz didn't even play drums.
I did not know. Wow.
Yeah. So they were just a TV band. Right. But the real musicians in the group, they were just like, well, why can't we play our own songs? And just like, well, because you're just a TV band. You're not real musicians.
Nice. So would you equate them like in the same category as like the Partridge Family?
Yeah, because the only real musician in the Partridge Family was David Cassidy.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of them were just...
They weren't musicians. I mean, Susan Day wasn't a musician. Danny Bonaducci wasn't a musician. They played the part. But yeah, it would be very similar to the Partridge Family.
Okay.
Of course, the Partridge Family was based off of the Cowsills, who were actually a musical family.
Okay, man, you know all this shit. That is one era of me, Mr. TV. I don't know shit about those shows.
Yeah.
And honestly, most of those I didn't watch. I really didn't watch the Partridge Family.
Well, they were a little before your time, though, because you're 4 years younger than me, I think. How old are you?
53.
Yeah, you're 4 years younger than me. So yeah, that was a very small window. Right. That happened before you were probably going to be watching those type of shows.
Right. Yeah, it's weird, but all those shows, Brady Bunch, I don't know shit about the Brady Bunch.
Well, that's because, again, that was early 70s.
Right before, yeah.
So, unless you caught it on the rerun.
Mhm.
Now, did you watch Gilligan's Island?
Not an original, no.
No, I'm not talking original, but you know the show?
Yeah, I know of the. I mean, I know. I mean, I know the characters. I've watched the professor make a fucking radio out of a coconut and all that other bullshit. But
did you watch any of the episodes of Gilligan's Island?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
Gilligan's Island took place in the early 60s, even before I was watching it. I was just a baby.
I've watched some of Gilligan's Island, not a ton, but some.
Yeah. Same way with Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, and I've watched all those.
Yeah, but see, I was just a baby when that came out.
Oh, don't tell Doro, but I've watched all those.
but you see, there's a few shows that played in rerun or syndication that you're familiar with, but
Sure.
that was way before, even before you were born.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you're familiar with it.
of course. Yeah, yeah. And somehow the Lost Saucer wasn't one, or the Monkees.
Yeah. So anyway, the Monkees have been, on again, off again, semi-active since like 1986, after the original lineup broke up.
Right.
And then they toured, with various members under the Monkee name. I think, mostly Davy Jones and Mickey Dolenz and Peter Tork, or a combination of those three, because Mike Nesmith never or didn't want to participate for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Nesmith about his mother. Are you familiar with his mother?
Nope.
She invented liquid paper.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So she struck it rich as a receptionist in the 70s because she invented liquid paper.
And then she, used that wealth to prostitute her kid into TV?
No, not at all. Not at all. But she left him her estate, which was worth, a bunch of money.
Okay.
But he and I always thought this, that, he was the product of somebody who struck it rich in the 70s.
Right.
But Michael Nesmith was very successful on his own.
Okay.
So Monkees singer and guitarist Michael Nesmith, a pop visionary who penned many of the group's most enduring songs before laying the groundwork for country rock with the first national band in the early 70s, died Friday from natural causes. He was 78. I learned something this week I wasn't aware where he was concerned.
Okay.
You're obviously familiar with Linda Ronstadt, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know the song Beat of a Different Drum? You and I march to the beat of a different drum. He wrote that.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
I had no idea. I just learned that this week. I didn't know that he wrote that song.
Good for him.
Yeah. With infinite love, we announced that Michael Nesmith has passed away this morning in his home, surrounded by his family, peacefully of natural causes, his family said in a statement. We ask that you respect their privacy at this time, and we thank you for the love and the light that all of you have shown him and us. Now, I wasn't aware, but Mickey Dolenz and Michael Nesmith, the surviving Monkees, were out on a quote unquote farewell tour that ended just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, in New York or New Jersey.
No, at the Greek Theater in LA.
Was it? All right.
Yeah.
There's video. I'm looking up Striggle right now. Maybe you just saw the last show in New York.
Yeah, they ended the tour at the Greek Theater in LA just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Guess dude didn't want to die before he fucking finished it up, right?
Well, that's interesting you brought that up. He was dying of heart failure.
Still soldiered on.
He did.
Good for him.
He had heart issues. He had like a triple bypass like a year or so ago.
Okay.
And during the whole COVID lockdown and all that bullshit, he literally allowed himself.
Whoops, sorry.
he allowed himself to, almost atrophy away just from inactivity.
Okay.
And I was reading his manager was given a little interview yesterday about his passing, and they said that he was like, he did the Phil Collins thing at the very beginning of the tour. He barely could walk on stage.
Right.
He had to use a cane when he did walk, and he sat most during the shows.
Mm-hmm.
But once he got out on the road and started doing the shows during this farewell tour,
right,
he got to the point to where he could do the entire show standing up and moving around stage and everything.
Well, there he is, standing up.
I know. That's kind of what I was saying, is that, see, obviously he has a chair right there behind him.
Yeah. Better chair than Phil's.
Exactly. But the thing is that he started the tour barely able to walk up on stage, let alone do anything else.
Right.
And then, according to his manager, at the end of the tour, he was out there moving around and, standing the whole show and, performing the whole show standing up. So it kind of like re-energized him to actually get up and move around and do some shit. You know what I mean?
He sucked it up right to the end. Good for him.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And they were just like, he knew that he was having heart issues, but the thing is he was just like, I fucking love this. Let's get out here and rock. And they actually had, even though they knew that he was, iffy at best with his health problems.
Yeah.
They booked a cruise for next year to do a cruise thing.
Is Jimmy Bain the bassist?
Is what?
Was Jimmy Bain the bassist?
Exactly. So yeah, it's just kind of bizarre, but go ahead and play some of that video.
All right, here we go.
It's only 46 seconds long.
Short. Well, the other guy's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, Mickey Dolenz.
Yeah, he looks like he could do it for another 6 or 8 months.
Well, you know what's interesting about Mickey Dolenz?
What's that?
He was one of the original Hollywood vampires.
Oh, yeah?
You know who I'm talking about? Alice Cooper and
Yeah.
Mickey Dolenz, and who else was in that group? They had their roost up at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and they would just sit up there and drink and party and stuff. And Mickey Dolenz was one of them.
Let's see who all was in that group. It was the drinking club of Alice Cooper, Keith Moon, Ringo Starr, Mickey Dolenz, and Harry Nilsson.
There you go. What a group, huh?
And then the additional members that joined in: Keith Allison, John Belushi, Mark Bolan, Jack Cruz, Keith Emerson, Klaus Vorman, Joe Walsh, Bernie Taupin, John Lennon, and Mal Evans. Wow.
So Mickey Dolenz, a guy who couldn't even play drums,
Yeah.
somehow got himself shoehorned into the Hollywood music elite and became one of the Hollywood vampires.
Good for him.
You know what I mean? That had to have been a wild fucking time.
Yeah, well, he lived a good life. No
And
question
he's
about
still out there just, doing his shit.
that. Yeah. No, he definitely is. I mean, it's crazy that he's last man standing, so to speak, I guess.
He is the last man standing.
Because this guy's in the dirt.
Yeah.
What's his name? Michael Nesmith?
Michael Nesmith, Peter Tork, Davy Jones, all gone. And again, Davy Jones making a cameo on Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
because Marcia had a big crush on him.
Who would you go see? That guy today or Phil Collins?
Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about?
Nesmith.
Would I go see him today?
1 week ago.
Oh, a week ago. Well, at least Nesmith could stand.
He looks like he's bringing it. I think I'd go see that guy.
Yeah, at least he could stand, and he wore the John Travolta suit.
Yeah, I mean, the suit is something.
I'm ready for him to strike the pose, staying alive.
I don't think he'd lift his arm that high. Let's not get crazy.
Nesmith was known as the monkey in the green wool hat with the thick Texas drawl, and the writer of songs like Mary Mary, Circle Sky, Listen to the Band, and The Girl I Knew Somewhere. But he raged behind the scenes that the group didn't have the creative control of its albums, and in 1967 led the successful rebellion against the record producer Don Kirshner. The group subsequently released Headquarters and other albums created largely on its own. So again, for the real musicians in the band, they were kind of frustrated that they couldn't actually showcase their musicianship as the Monkees on TV.
Yeah, jeez.
Their
own show then, right?
What was that?
They must have hated their own show.
They did. There was a lot of acrimony there, and that's why it only lasted 2 seasons, because there was like, we're musicians. Why can't we play our own music? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of our favorite documentaries, The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
I think The Wrecking Crew did a lot of their music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of course they did. They did everybody's music.
That's my point. They did. I think they did a lot of the Monkees music.
That's wild.
In a 2012 interview with Rolling Stone, Nesmith explained why he was so adamant that the Monkees write and record their own material despite the huge success they were enjoying at the time. We were kids with our own taste in music, and we're happier performing songs like we did and or wrote. Then songs, I hate when that happens. I got to turn that shit off. Then songs that were handed to us, he said, it made for better performances. It was more fun. That this became a bone of contention seems strange to me, and I think to some extent to each other, sort of, what's the big deal? Why won't you let us play our songs? We are singing. Before we even joined the Monkees, Nesmith wrote a breakup song called Different Drum. The Monkees producer said to him, that's not a Monkees song. Mickey Dolenz told Rolling Stone in 2016, Michael said, wait a minute, I'm one of the Monkees. He gave it to Linda Ronstadt, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and she made all the money. Well, he made all the publishing, but
yeah, of course.
But still, he probably would have liked to have made all the money too.
Sure, but again, I just learned that yesterday, and I had no idea.
Yeah,
and you know what a trivia buff I am.
I know.
So after all these,
what are some other Linda Ronstadt songs?
I'm looking her up right now.
I'm trying to think. She had like a bunch of hits.
Yeah, she had Blue Bayou.
Oh, yeah, Blue Bayou.
You're No Good.
You're no good. You're no
exactly.
It's a good one.
When Will I Be Loved?
When Will I Be Loved?
Yeah, when will I be loved?
I've been cheated, been mistreated. When will I be loved?
She write any of her own? Yeah, she write any of her own material?
Probably not. But again, she had Don Henley and
Glenn Frey.
Glenn Frey behind her.
Yeah, she was fucking one or both of them, wasn't she?
Yeah,
allegedly.
Yeah, well, she did a Eagle. I think this is an Eagle song, Desperado.
Oh yeah, Desperado.
Yep.
desperado. Why don't you come to your senses?
She was fucking Jerry Brown.
She's fucking everybody. She's trading pussy for choruses.
Yes.
Who could blame her? She made millions doing it.
She did. Now she's all invalid and shit.
Isn't she a fatso too now?
Well, she gained a lot of weight back in the 80s when she was with that Nelson Riddle band. Of course, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Nelson Riddle band.
Now Nelson Riddle.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, she got all chubbed up.
Let's see.
Now she can't even sing because she's got some. I think she's got Parkinson's or something, or MS. I think she's got MS now or something.
Oh, that's oh Jesus! This is tragic. My goodness, what happened? What happened? She looks like a homeless lady.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Ann Wilson. Come on, that's not her. Dude, she looks like. You remember Jerry on The Facts of Life?
Yes, of course.
She looks like.
I think I'm funny.
She looks like if Jerry had a fat sister.
Right.
Jeez, oh man, look at this photo. What happened? You used to be kind of something.
Well, the picture that I always had in my head was when she was wearing those little silk dolphin shorts on skates. Yeah, look at that.
Jeez.
Yeah, she could be Valerie Bertinelli's fatter sister.
Jeez, oh man.
Can't remember what the album was called, but she was like on skates.
On skates?
Yeah, she was wearing like blue dolphin shorts and skates and stuff. It was like 78, somewhere around there. I can't remember the name of the album though.
Skates album. It is Living in the USA.
I don't know. I don't know the name of it. I just remember the album cover and it was just like, that was pretty fucking hot.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
As a kid though, because this was like 77, 78.
Oh, this is going to change your opinion.
Well, it might be. I mean, all I remember is I was just a kid though.
Yeah, this will quickly change your opinion.
I just remember like standing in a doorway or something.
I think
It's been a long time.
This was the age when you'd rub your dick to anything.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm trying to make a point here.
Where's that picture? Why isn't it showing up?
I don't know.
There it is.
Yep, that's it.
Yeesh. The
But
knee
you know
pads
what?
are hot.
Yeah, but again, that was what, 78, I think, 77.
Who cut her hair? Mark Storace?
Well, you know that that was the style. But I remember the blue shorts and the disco jacket. It was disco skating, I guess it was.
I guess.
But she was, again, when you're like 10, 12 years old and you're checking that out, it's like, oh, it's Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's Linda, all right. And now here's Linda and the rest of her. Goodness.
It's a different time.
Clearly she ate the skates.
Right.
My goodness. All right, well, hey, good for her.
All I can do is just remember as a kid because she was popular back when I was a youngster.
She's Fat Sally Field now.
Yeah, for the most part.
I mean, doesn't she look like Fat Sally Field?
She does, with darker hair.
Yeah. With a headpiece on. That almost looks like a helmet from a Star Wars movie. Look at that. Jesus. All right, I can't look at that anymore. It's depressing. It's depressing seeing all these fucking chicks that were once hot and just fall right off the cliff.
Right.
It really is sad. Is it the biggest penalty ever for a chick to get famous? Because they just
unless they can keep it together.
But they can't. Let's just be honest. They can't.
Well, okay. I know Britney Spears is not old. What is she, 40?
38, 30. Yeah, 40.
Yeah.
She was good.
Has Britney Spears kept it together for you?
Yeah, oh yeah. But you know what half of the Britney appeal is? That she's nuts.
She's a nutty chick.
Yeah. That is absolutely appealing to me, that she's a fucking kook.
All right. Well, one of our favorite girls, Susanna Hoff, says she kept it together at 60.
All right, but you're going to the exceptions.
Yeah. Well, again, you said about being famous. It doesn't apply to all.
Oh,
Majority, yes. All, no.
most of them become Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Rosine.
Yeah. Look at Linda with the little skinny waist and cute.
Cute, but man, who punched her in the nose?
Yeah, she's got the big old nose going on there. But the interesting thing is she's wearing all the turquoise jewelry of the 70s.
Snake Man sold it to her.
Yeah, that's like Led Zeppelin territory right there.
Mm-hmm.
All the turquoise.
She's in Vegas. She's in Vegas outside of a club, and some guy came up to her and just said, "Hey, would you like to buy some jewelry?"
Yeah, turquoise and silver. That was like the thing.
Just pet my sick dog while I make your jewelry for you.
Right,
I'll
Sophie.
make it right here. Yeah, I'll make it right here. The Snake Man.
Yeah.
Was she a Zepp groupie?
She was just in that whole era, early 70s. Yeah, she was in the whole Jackson Brown, Eagles, she was a Southern California sound. She was that Southern California sound girl.
Looks like someone fish hooked her in this fucking picture. Look at that.
Yeah, I know.
This side of her mouth is not like a big hole, but this side is like a big old thing. She does. She looks like she got caught swimming by a hook and somebody just pulled hard.
Yeah. Old Jerry Brown, former governor of California, had no issue with that.
I don't doubt it. His dick still fit in that mouth.
Right.
Who would have a problem fucking that? Not me. Make her sing Blue Balls You or something?
Blue Balls You.
Something.
So that's Mike Nesmith wrote that.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Made some money.
Sure he did. But again, he was trying to prove himself as a songwriter. And, the producers of the TV show, the Monkees, would not allow the guys in the band or the guys, the Monkees, to perform their own music. And he says, look, I wrote a song. Look at Linda Ronstadt is performing it.
But did he write that song during the Monkees run?
Yeah, he did it prior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, Peter Tork, the bassist, and Mike Nesmith were actually musicians.
All right.
That were selected to do the show, and they were just like, well, why can't we play? And they're just like, because you're just a TV band.
Yeah. All right. Well, sucks to be them, and then Milli Vanilli get a Grammy. How's that work?
That's the whole irony of it, the whole thing.
The minute that guy was watching the Grammys,
of course,
and he knew that Milli Vanilli was phony because he's in the business, and he was like, motherfuck, when he saw them win that Grammy.
Of course,
he was mad as a motherfucker.
Exactly. When the Monkees dissolved in the late 60s, Nesmith formed the first national band, and despite recording 3 classic country rock albums, escaping the shadows of the Monkees proved nearly impossible. The group broke up shortly before the Eagles hit it big with Take It Easy.
Okay.
So they were basically doing what the Eagles did.
Right.
And the Eagles became big due to that country rock, thing.
This guy lived a life of agony.
He did. Well, at first he did. But
Sounds like forever.
But his name wasn't Keith Caputo either.
No, or Mina or whatever. but this guy, everything about his career is watching somebody else do it and make all the money.
Yeah, that's the whole irony of it.
No.
The guy was, he was an innovator and kind of ahead of his time and had a lot of good ideas. And this goes back to what we were talking about very early in the show tonight. It's just like, other people are talented and they do a lot of things, but they don't get the break other people get.
Yeah.
They don't get the recognition, and they might have been absolutely superstars, but they just didn't get the spotlight shown on them at that time.
Right.
I was heartbroken beyond speech, Nesmith told Rolling Stone in 2018. I couldn't even utter the words. The Eagles. And I love Hotel California, and I love the Eagles and the Flying Burrito Brothers and the Birds, Sweethearts of the Rodeo, all that stuff. That was right in my wheelhouse, and I was agonized. Van Gogh agonized, not to compare myself to him, but I wanted to cut something off because I was like, why is this happening? The Eagles now have the biggest selling album of all time, and mine is sitting in the closet of a closed record company.
Damn.
Yeah. Nesmith spent the rest of the 70s recording under the radar solo albums. In 1977, he promoted his single Rio, which, of course, Duran Duran capitalized.
That's not the same.
No, I'm just kidding about that. With the clever music video that got a lot of play in Europe and Australia, turning the song into a mirror hit, it gave him an incredible idea. I realized that radio is to records as television is to video, he told Rolling Stone. Then it was like, of course, and thus MTV was born. I just took the idea and put together some programs and sent it to Warner Brothers and so forth. Next thing you know, there it was. He put this thing together for music video clips, and they took it and made MTV out of it.
This fucking guy. Holy
I know.
He really, this is tragic.
I know. That's why I wanted to cover this story, because I know you could give a shit about the Monkees.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them. I didn't know any of this stuff.
I did. I knew a lot of this. I didn't know all of it, but I knew a lot of it. And this guy was just like just behind the curve, and whatever it was he was doing kind of took off just like after,
Every time.
Yeah. His life changed forever in 1980 when his mother, liquid paper inventor Betty Nesmith Graham, died and left him her substantial fortune. She created liquid paper in a blender in her kitchen.
Meanwhile, this guy invented MTV and didn't get dick.
Didn't get shit.
Didn't get dick, and he invented something that probably made $100 billion.
Right.
Jeez.
He used the money to invest in a series of businesses along with movies like Repo Man and Tape Heads.
Jeez, good to see he invested well. Jesus Christ, Repo Man. Clearly, he didn't have a pension for the movies, did he? Jesus.
Well, you'll be surprised.
Don't tell me that these movies did well.
No.
Okay.
But he was able to. He had a home video project that he sold to I think it was like PBS.
Okay.
And they basically stole it, and he was able to sue them, and he won a judgment for $46 million.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm officially done feeling bad for him now.
I don't know if he got paid, though. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and then they immediately filed bankruptcy and didn't pay him shit.
Right. He didn't participate in the Monkees reunion tours of the 80s, leading into the false impression he was ashamed of his pop past. Quite the contrary, he told Rolling Stone in 2013, it was a nice part of the resume. It was fun for me and a great time of my life. I mean, where do you want to be in the 60s except in the middle of rock and roll, hanging out with the scene? London was the absolute blast, and so was LA back then. There was so much going on. He returned to the Monkees in 1996 with the LP Justice and a brief UK tour, but he wouldn't return on a permanent basis until 2012 when the surviving members toured in the aftermath of Davy Jones's death. A series of American Monkee tours followed, and he participated in Good Times. their 2016 comeback LP. The Monkees launched a farewell tour earlier this year, and he played their final show at the Greek Theater at Los Angeles on November 14th.
Right.
Despite all of this, he was never quite sure the Monkees, who were formed by TV producers, were actually a real band. All three of us have our own ideas, he told Rolling Stone in 2016. This being, what is this thing? What have we got here? What's required of us? Is this a band? Is this a television show? When you go back to the genesis of this thing, it is a television show because it has all those traditional beats, but something else was going on, and it struck a chord way out of proportion to the original swing of a hammer. You hit the gong and suddenly it's huge. So, you know, regardless if you're a fan or not, they had an impact on pop culture.
Sure. You know, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that he was buried just outside the gate of the funeral.
He didn't quite make it in all the way.
They didn't let him into the cemetery either. He said, yeah, pick a spot by the tree next to the gate.
Yeah. Well, this guy did not die a pauper.
No, not at all.
He was not buried in Potter's Field in any way, shape, or form.
Dude, you have to have money to pay for that suit.
Yes.
Look at that thing.
Yeah. But he did have a lot of successes on his own, though, surprisingly enough. And the guy had he was one of these guys that believed in, what do you want to call, natural health remedies and stuff.
Yeah, homeopathic
or something scientist. What do you call that?
Something scientist. I don't know.
Yeah. Where you don't take traditional drugs or anything. It's
a homeopathic solutions or whatever.
Yeah, but
instead of taking an aspirin, you eat 2 ginger roots.
Exactly. Exactly. He was all into the natural cures and shit like that.
Right.
So he just wasn't a believer in
holistic.
Holistic. Yeah, he was into holistic medicines.
Yeah, well, good for him.
Yeah. But he did relent, a couple years ago, and actually went under the knife to get triple bypass surgery.
No, well, I'm sure the knife was biodegradable though, so that it can be thrown away right after.
It was one of those knives that you get in one of those plastic packets from like Fazoli's.
Yeah, right. It was made out of some animal's bone. So it just rot away after a while.
Right. So at 78 years old, Michael Nesmith of the Monkees passed away 3 weeks after finishing up their tour.
Well, at least he finished the tour.
Yeah.
Good on him. And
according to his manager, I read an article earlier today that he was he was like, actually, this is a good time. It's like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? You're almost pushing 80 and people are coming out to see you.
Yeah.
In your John Travolta suit.
It's a feel-good story, really. I mean, honestly.
I mean, he finished up the tour basically 21 days ago, and now he's in the ground.
And didn't have time to get depressed about being off the road again.
No.
I mean, when you think about it, the guy had a bad heart. He's 150 years old. So you got to think the first week that he was home, all he did was sleep.
Right.
He probably didn't even unpack. Then he had his 35-year-old wife come in and unpack things for him, I'm sure.
Right.
Blew him a couple times and he died. That seems like a good way to go.
Yeah, I played what is it, Bob Seger song about the song that Metallica covered.
Turn the page.
Yeah, turn the page. He turned the page.
He did. Good on him. That's what, honestly, I'm being half joking, but I'm not being that joking. Good on him for dying the way you want to go.
Well, again, even his manager, the article I read, even his manager was just like, what a great way to go out.
Yeah.
Like I died doing what I did. I basically returned to the genesis of my popular career.
Yeah.
People came out to see me. They applauded. They enjoyed the show. I got off the road and I went home and I died.
Yeah, dude. I'm for it. Look, after doing a couple of days in the fucking hospital this year, I can tell you that's not the place you want to go.
No, of course not.
The last place you want to be is hooked up to a bunch of shit in a sterile hospital watching Law and Order reruns when you drop dead. You'd much rather be out there on tour or, you know, having a bunch of fucking rubes and masks clapping for you. You know, he probably loved that.
Well, that was kind of the way Lemmy died too. I mean, Lemmy played his show like 14 days before he died.
Yeah,
his last show was like 2 weeks before he passed away.
Yeah, and he probably felt like he was off tour.
Yeah.
14 days. He probably wanted to die on stage.
Right.
You know, Lemmy would have liked to have died on stage. And that would have been the most fitting way to go.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty damn close.
Wouldn't that have been something if the final chord of Ace of Spades, dead? That would have been the way for Lemmy to go.
Yeah.
Then cook him up and dump him into bullets and send him all around the country as he did.
Right.
Still the coolest way to go.
Well, again, you know, these guys who had the passion for what they do, you know, this guy had a, you know, career. I mean, obviously he didn't starve as an adult. I mean, he was, you know, a young man back in the 60s when he was selected to be as part of the Monkees TV show.
Right.
And then, you know, by good fortune, and this doesn't take away from, you know, his personal accomplishments, but, you know, his mother had the good fortune of inventing a product that allowed her to become a very wealthy person.
Right.
So he didn't want for anything, but that didn't keep him. He didn't live like a trust fund baby or something.
I don't know. His will's probably written right out of his mother's blender.
So he continued, you know, creating and, you know, trying to write music and perform and play and make videos and, you know, do all kinds of other things. And, you know, he embraced his past and it was just like, okay, yeah, I'm a monkey. I'll forever be a monkey. And, you know, I got failing health now and this opportunity comes up and I'm going to rise to the occasion and get off my ass. And I'm going to go out there and do this at 78 years old and, you know, give the fans what they want. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Monkees, but I personally am not a fan. I mean, I know their songs. I don't think I've ever said, man, I want to hear that Monkees song.
Yeah, I've never done that.
You know, but I know people who are like that. They love that shit. And of course you mentioned, you know, Mark Striegel.
Yeah.
And Corey Roddick.
Yeah. I mean,
they love that Monkees music or, you know, for whatever reason.
Yeah, they love that shit. So they do have a following. It's I wonder if every band has that. I mean, obviously at different levels, but does every band that stays around more than a minute have, even if it's just 10 of those fans that love them? Are there 1,000 Herman and the Hermits fans running around anymore?
Who knows?
You know, or how many Andy Kim fans do you think there are out there?
Well, I think for people like the Monkees or the Beatles or you mentioned Hermit and the Hermits or Herman and the Hermits.
Yeah.
Herman's Hermits or whatever.
Whatever it is.
You know, some of these nostalgia acts or even a band that I actually do like that I'm a fan of is Tommy James and the Shondells.
Sure.
I'm a Tommy James fan. I like Tommy James. I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would go see Tommy James. I mean, that guy's still touring around. He kind of looks freakish.
Yeah.
You know, but I would go see Tommy James because I like his music.
Sure. Let me just, because it's coming up in the chat room. Andy Kim saying "Rock Me Gently."
Yes,
that's all he's saying.
Rock me gently, rock me slowly, take it easy, don't you know?
I only throw that one out because our station manager Corey, that is his absolute least favorite artist of all time.
So funny.
Is Andy Kim. So any chance I see to throw an Andy Kim reference in there, And it's not often that there's space for an Andy Kim reference.
Right. Again, that's one of those one-hit wonders of the 70s.
I think he had two, because he did Baby I Love You as well. Baby I Love You.
Did he?
Yeah.
Andy Kim, let me pull it up real quick.
Rock me,
and Baby I Love You. Yeah, he did. You're right.
Those are his two.
Yeah, that is.
Now we're talking.
Ain't it good? Ain't it right that you are with me here tonight? Music playing, our bodies swaying in time. Touching you, so warm and tender. Lord, I feel such a sweet surrender. Beautiful is the dream that makes you mine. Rock me gently, rock me slowly. Take it easy, don't you know that I have never been loved like this before?
Baby, baby.
When you really listen to that,
Dude, I listen to that song all the time.
he doesn't even sing.
Oh, he's just talking.
He just talks the words.
He's just.
It's like, all right, well, you're not really singing, and you don't really have anything that's spectacular in vocal ability.
He's just having a little conversation.
I guess it's bizarre.
Love it. It's a great song.
All right, well, here's Baby I Love You.
Have I ever told you how good it feels to hold you? It isn't easy to explain. And though I'm really trying, I think I may start crying. My heart can't wait another day. When you touch me, I just got to say, baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Come on, baby, na 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 na.
That's the goods.
That reminds me of Mark Wahlberg in that what was that? What was that porno movie that was in?
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights, where he's trying to be a pop star.
Yeah.
And throw all that reverb on his voice. He's not a good singer at all.
Of course.
That's exactly what that reminds me of.
It does. It definitely does.